So yeah, I guess I'll start the event with bit of introduction. So I'm Sarthak, and I'm running the student network. It's a very new initiative by Energy Tech Meetup, and as you can see this in the screen, we are a very diverse team. So I'll explain more about the what is Energy Tech Meetup now. Um, just wait a second. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Great, so we'll begin with the event then. So ETM is a global community for anyone interested in innovation in energy and technology. So um, as a community, we are very diverse, and we represent a diverse field of expertise, in which includes students, researchers, and a lot of businesses and startups. Um, like we believe that everyone can be innovator in energy innovation, and like that's why as a community we are a very inclusive community. um, so what do we do? Well, we are a community, but primarily we do a lot of networking events, where we invite a lot of speakers from businesses and researchers who speak on important themes around energy and technology. And all of these events have a strong networking component. We used to have physical events pre-COVID, but of course, right now, as we know, the everything's virtual. Um, but I guess it works great because we get to meet people from all over the world. Um, Other than that, um, our events, we were founded in 2019. Until now, we have had more than 17 events with attendees, according like approximately around in total 1,000 around attendees. And each of the events has been with interesting partners, like an interesting business. And so one of the important part of us as a community is we represent voice of the community. That means voice of course, the energy technology community. And one of the way we do it is this voices of ETM, voices of ETM, which is of course done on our Medium channel. Currently, of course, we've done couple of it, but we still have to do. Now we will be increasing more and more of our footprint on Medium. But on the other hand, on YouTube, we have this series called ETM Talks, and basically after every event where we invite interesting speaker, we do one-to-one session with each speaker after the event, where we deep dive into the specific themes they have spoken about, uh, and it gives us a lot of insight into it. Um, we are a very global community, and we are present. We have a chapter in Tokyo, Vienna, and Amsterdam. Um, and we take a very local approach, and basically that means that even though we are a very global community, we localize uh, our community in these respective regions with the help of course, our ETM uh, regional heads. Um, as mentioned, we are a big community, we are a growing community, and approximately 1,500 followers in all of our social media, and of course, very diverse community with, as you can see from the graph, we have got our big proportion is company, but also significant proportion is students, startups, and people from academia, such as researchers. And of course, with the help of student network that has recently been launched, which I'll explain more about, we are hoping to increase more participation from students. Um, these are just some of the feedback we received from the previous audience, and as you can see, all our events are represent ideas that are bold and interesting, and of course relevant to the global issues. And finally, this is our global team. And as you can see, so we've got, of course, our co-founders, but we've got regional chapters in Vienna, then Amsterdam, and also so we are a very diverse team. And this is we have a strong presence on social media, which means that you can reach us out on either LinkedIn, our email, Facebook, and of course you can go to our YouTube channel and see our past events. See our past events. Share this barcode, and you'll be directed, I think, to our website. So now I would like to pass on to Eugene, who will explain you more about the Global Student Network, which is our new initiative.
Thank you, Sarthak, for the introduction about ETM. Hello, everyone. My name is Eugene, and I just graduated from Ritsumeikan Asia Pacific University. It's located in Oita-ken in Japan. And I also joined ETM since the beginning of the year. So yeah, now I'm going to explain a little bit about what is Global Student Network and what is our aim about this network. So Global Student Network have aimed to help students become a future energy innovators. And we want to connect students with the energy experts and providing the learning and networking opportunities. And we also a global networks looking to connect with students and businesses around the world. So here, as we can see in the left bottom, for students, we support students to connect with more professionals and also learn real-life applications of energy innovations. And we want students to become future energy innovators. So we want to make a networks and build positive relationship with community to gain access to mentorings, internship, and also other learning opportunities. And third one is we want to give the access of energy industry, and we want students to become future energy innovators. Yeah. And for the professionals, we also have the aim to give access for enthusiastic talents. We want to inspire future energy innovators, and also they can be a part of ETM's thriving global community as professionals. And they can also have opportunities to connect with young talent with diverse skills such as coding, digital marketing, businesses, engineering, and other fields. So for students, you can read the QR code on this slide, so you can check it out more about what is a Global Student Network. And if you're interested, there is a column inside the link. You can click on the column to join a student energy community. Okay, and if you want to know more about Global Student Networks, feel free to message me via LinkedIn. This is the link. I'm going to share it later about my LinkedIn profile. And also I want to, we also have two student coordinators. One is from Israel, Yonit, and the other one is Georgie from Brazil. And I'm looking forward to meet and also expand the Global Student Network globally. And if you're interested to join us, please let me know, or you can scan the barcode and join the community. And next, I'm going to pass for the next slide. Yeah.
So thank you, Eugene, for explaining about the Global Student Network. To add on what Eugene said, basically, this is our new initiative, and basically, the reason we are introducing the student network separately is basically we understand that for students for a lot of students find it incredibly difficult to know or more to get into the energy industry, and that's why we believe that by connecting students to the professional community, we can support students by providing more learning opportunities, um, with the aim in mind that students don't have to have the engineering background. They can still have the business and economics background or any other background and still get into the energy industry, because energy industry requires a diverse set of needs. um, so, as Eugene said, feel free to contact us anytime. I've just put on the chat our email for ETM Student Network. So feel free to reach out anytime if you want any form of questions, concerns, or any if you would like to just speak regarding your interest. We are aiming to provide you with more internship and uh, more mentorship opportunities. Since it's been only 1 month since we have officially launched this network, we are still in the process of creating more and more opportunities. But meanwhile, we do have an interesting volunteering opportunities that anyone can join. So basically, about this opportunity, we are recruiting more and more student coordinators, and the aim is that with the student coordinator will be um, will have the role of building the student network in their respective regions. So as Eugene mentioned, we have a student coordinator in Japan, Israel, and Brazil right now, who will of course introduce themselves more during the networking session. But and of course will mention regarding their contact details on the chat. But um, uh, uh, basically. The opportunity for the student coordinators is basically helping us build the student network in respective regions, and that would mean reaching out to more students in the respective region, and also building a professional community communicating with more and more energy professionals um, to basically influence them to join our community and help our student community. So if you're interested in that, I will also share that details in the chat, but also feel free to speak to any of us during the networking session. So till now, if I'd just like to ask if you guys have any questions till now, because if not, we can move on for the rest of the event. All right. If you have any questions, by the way, feel free to put it on the chat. Even for Q&A, we'll be happy to keep in mind to answer those questions. But also when we have Q&A, please feel free to just unmute your mic and just say the questions. It's always great to see people speak. So yeah, without further ado, I will just dive into our main event of today. So today's event is basically a kickoff for our global student network, and it's basically an event where we introduce our ETM community, and we'll be introducing by our leaders of the ETM community will be introducing themselves today, and regarding how they became the energy professionals. Our community is very diverse, which means that we are a mixture of masters, PhD candidates, and of course professionals. So they'll all have some interesting perspective they will give you regarding because they all represent different kind of fields in energy and different kind of stages of their life. So uh, we hope it will be very valuable for you to listen to them. And of course, after that, please feel free to ask them any questions, because today's event is basically an opportunity for you guys to ask any questions to any of our uh, members. So yeah, I'd like to invite Yuyanga, who will be speaking, who will be starting with today's talk.
Okay, thank you, Sartak and Eugene. So, hi everyone. It's really nice to see you all and talk about my experience as ETM member. So, as for a brief introduction, I'm a Mongolian student studying in Japan, majoring in energy science and engineering. And the left picture is the picture of capital city of Mongolia, where you can see high-rise apartments, buildings, and also the residential area surrounding this central area, and which is always mentioned when there's an issue about soil pollution, air pollution, etc. And I grew up in this area. So when I was small, I thought it was just a usual thing to experience seasonal power outages and even sometimes use candles in the evenings. But it was fun when I was small, but it's not fun now. And even burning coal inside our houses to keep warm at like minus 20 or 30 Celsius during the winter. But as I grew up, I realized it's not a way it should be, and we should do something with the energy industry so that people can access more sustainable and affordable energy without smelling like a coal. So I think that's one of the motivation I got interested in energy field, and moreover led me to be part of Energy Tech Meetup, this community. And one click, please. So for me personally, one of the best thing being part of Energy Tech Meetup community is the people and the energy I get when interacting with these enthusiastic people, including our team members and speakers and attendees. And for me, it's quite inspiring and motivating to be exposed into such lively atmosphere. And secondly, as I see my future career in energy field, the ETM provides me a great opportunity to expand my network and also see what's being done out there and what career opportunities are out there. And lastly, as ETM always try to bring people from different backgrounds like policy, academia, and companies on the same theme, we get to see different sides and widen our perspective. And as an energy student, it really complements what I read on scientific papers and listen in my lectures at university. And that's all from me, and hope you'll join our global student network. And next, I'd like to invite Kabir.
Right. Thank you very much, Uyanga. As a team member, I have heard your story before, but I just want to thank you again because it's always so inspiring to hear every time you speak about your experience and your motivation to join ETM and work in the energy sector. Okay, so I think I will start my own introduction round. Hi, everyone. I am Shahriar Kabir, and I joined ETM, I think, around January 2020. So it's not a super long time that I have been with this team. I am originally from Bangladesh, and I was born in the port city called Chattogram in Bangladesh. And the photo you can see on the screen is a nighttime photo of the seaport. It's really beautiful over there. But after my undergraduate studies, I moved to Japan for my higher studies. And I am a little bit odd in the sense that I have always focused on being an academic person. So my career goal is already fixed. So I joined IEEE as a secretary for the student branch of Tokyo Tech. And I have set my goals on being an academic person. Then what am I doing in ETM? The answer is that ETM's purpose, the beliefs and the values, these really attracted me when I heard the stories from the co-founders, Amanda and Grace. And it also gives me a very nice growth opportunity. To be honest, at this moment, there is too much competition in the academic world. There are a lot of graduates who have extremely good academic results and also research results. But do they have other sorts of soft skills, for example, organizational skills or the skills to manage large communities or businesses? In my case, the third logo that you can see at the bottom right-hand side is the startup that I started in 2015. And I put all my savings into it. I could run it for a maximum of 2 years. I could get 3 customers. And after that, I was just completely burnt out. So I put a stop to it in 2017, and I realized that there is such a long road to learning of managing your own time, resources. Money is not only the resource that we have a lot of other resources that we need to manage. So I felt that there is a lot of things to learn that other organizations can help me learn in my own way. And that is why I am also part of a big community like IEEE, but I also consider myself a very, very dedicated person in the ETM community. So both of these, the ETM's purpose, beliefs and values, and my growth opportunity are the true drivers that I really think has made the decision for me to join ETM. And I think the student network is really nice because it has the focus on students already, and it wants to connect professionals with students to give them real life experiences. I believe it goes to show how important it is to think ahead of time. And I really hope that the people who are joining today, they will really consider joining ETM and the ETM student community as a whole. So thank you very much. And the next presenter will be Amanda.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda. I'm one of the co-founders of ETM. And just a brief background about myself. I'm half Trinidadian, which is can you go back to the other photo? It's a super small island in the Caribbean, which as you can see is very tropical and hot. And I'm also half Swedish, which is, as you all know, in Europe and very, very cold, as you can see in the next photo. So these climates are really, really different. And these countries and the people are also quite different as well. So I really grew up in a very aware, I guess, of diversity and also with a big appreciation for diversity. And this is somehow linked to ETM, so I'm going to get to this point in a while. But Grace and Grace is a co-founder, and I studied at the Tokyo Institute of Technology together. And during that time, we kind of realized there is no good platform for people to meet and connect and converse about energy in Tokyo in English. So that's why we decided to just, make an event to try to support that. And that's basically how ETM started in 2019. And then from then, we really tried to maintain this focus on diversity and community in the network or in ETM. So for example, when we choose speakers, we try to choose like startups and companies and researchers and policymakers in order to get that full perspective, because we think that is what is really needed for innovation, both in energy, but also in general, and other sectors. So I really want to re-emphasize what Sartek said earlier about how energy needs different kinds of expertise, because energy is this huge giant that we need to decarbonize and we need to make more sustainable. And it includes electricity, it also includes transport and heating and so many different things. So this also requires so many different kinds of expertise, from business to psychology of how people use electricity, to coding, to social science. I can basically say any expertise, and I think it could be somehow related to energy. So that is why I'm so excited for the Global Student Network to just reach out to a diverse group of students and to kind of make the future of energy together. And I know that sounds like a big thing, but you have to start somewhere. So I'm really happy to see you here today. And yes, that's all from me. Yes, here's another picture of the beach. I pass it on to Iwata-san.
Yeah, Amanda, thank you for introduction. And also, I'm Hiroyoshi Iwata, and I'm the head of Japanese communication of ETM Tokyo. And I joined in ETM the last year, I remember, and so I had a conversation with Amanda in a cafe in Shinagawa or Tamachi session, and I decided to join this network because so I'm very interested in these activities. So then let me introduce myself a little bit. So I got a Master of Engineering from the University of Tokyo, and my major was chemistry, biochemistry, and chemical engineering. So then I joined in plant construction company, a subsidiary of the largest steel company in Japan. So then I did some kinds of R&D and business development of biofuels and renewable energy. So then I went to Sumatra Island in Indonesia, and I had stayed in a few years there, and I did some I did work for the R&D project to make biofuels from the agricultural waste in Indonesia, and which causes the one of the hardest climate problems. It's haze. So after the dry season, the farmers fire the waste or palm plantation. So then that makes the a big problem of the smoke in Indonesia, and the smoke will go to is going to Singapore or other countries. So then I did this R&D to solve the environmental problems with Japanese technologies, cutting edge technology. So that's the origin of my experience. And also I went back to Japan and I had worked for example, renewable energy project in Japan or a CCUS or carbon cycle management. That's kind of that's the beginning of the to solve the problems of steel industries in Japan. So then I changed jobs and I joined in a BC in Japan. I'm in charge with the energy and environment sectors. But as you know, there are not so many entrepreneurs or innovators in Japan in this field. And also I came up with an idea to promote the networking and also making the communities to solve this. So then I'm now very enthusiastic about making the networks, and also I love to communicate with people interested in this field, energy sustainability, and also climate change. So then I'd like to help ETM and also help ETM's networks. Okay, let's move on to the next page, and Armin, please give a presentation.
Thank you. I just realized by listening to all of our introductions how big our community already became. And I still remember the very first time when I met Amanda in Berlin, and we were talking about that global network, how good and interesting it would be if we could establish something. And now it seems like we already formed it, and I'm looking forward to see where we are going. So starting with my brief introduction, I'm German. And when I was thinking about what to study, it was during the time where we had that huge incident in Japan, the nuclear disaster. And then I thought, okay, we have to find a better way. I'm gonna start studying energy system and see how we can solve and tackle these risks and also the environmental issues that we are confronting in our generation. So what I was missing during that time as a student was a network to connect with like-minded people, and that is what I saw in ETM, which is why I got interested into that community. Today I'm working for F-Side, which is an Israeli startup building artificial intelligence solution for energy sector. I'm also part of the Blue Minds Group, which is a consultancy and incubator for businesses who aim to drive the energy transition. And recently I joined a Young Energy Professional program of the World Energy Council Austria, where I'm leading the group for developing new business model beyond the energy supply. So I think today it is probably the most interesting time to be in the energy space, as we see the most profound transformation the systems ever experience. And there are so many problems, as Amanda already outlined. We need so many people from so many different backgrounds to address these challenges. So I hope with the new student network that we are able to better translate academic findings to real changes in the industry. So this is why I'm really excited about that. And I think it's a very great opportunity for students to join in such a young stage of the network, but also later on to engage in a very inclusive way with a very open community and learn from the challenges that we are currently facing and we have to address in order to decarbonize our energy system and address the climate crisis. On the other side, from my experience, I know that many businesses struggle to engage with new innovative thinking and other ideas. So we already saw that there's a huge demand for businesses to better engage with academia and new form of collaborations, which I do believe is very interesting for them to join our student network as well. And yeah, as we just have a couple of minutes, I'm gonna stop my introduction, and I'm looking forward to the network at the end of the event.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I have to follow all of those amazing introductions, but I'll give it a go. Hi, everyone. I'm Vicky, and I'm heading up the launch team for Amsterdam. So we're now setting up in the Benelux, and at the same time, I'm supporting SATAC with the Student Energy Network where I can. And as much as I'd like to just talk about snowboarding for a few minutes, it's probably worth explaining a little about my career. Maybe then people will have some ideas about what they might want to ask, because I think everybody's got a good picture now of the Student Energy Network and the amazing opportunities that are being built here. But of course, also it's about the professionals that you can connect to and the sort of opportunities you might come across. So maybe my background is a little interesting there, in that I studied physics, but then I went on to specialize in nuclear technology. So opposite Armin, I just jumped into that because I saw that there were issues and they needed fixing. So I specialized in nuclear decommissioning, worked all over the UK, and eventually actually moved to Japan to work at Fukushima. But whilst making that transition, I ended up joining some renewable energy startups called Sogo and Trendy, one looking at energy in emerging markets, and one looking at solar distribution in Japan and creating microgrids. So that was really interesting, spending time in startups. I fully recommend that. And I would love through the student network to help students get placements in startups and all sorts of other organizations. Right now, I work for Set Ventures based in Amsterdam. It's one of the longest established venture capital firms specializing in the energy system transition. So we invest in energy startups all across Europe. And it's a fantastic job, so happy to talk about that with people too. But that's my general intro. Thanks, everyone.
Right, thank you so much, everyone, for this amazing introduction. Genuinely, it was, as you can see from this amazing introduction, and to be honest, it was very short. Like there is, of course, there is, of course, more to know about everyone, but yeah, you can see from all this introduction that we are a very diverse community, and like the reason we in this event we started with the introduction of all our leaders is because we want you to have the ability to reach out to any of us leaders. We are all happy to help you in any ways possible, especially everyone who just gave their introduction about the exciting journey that they have had in energy industry and the passion they have. They will love to share more about themselves, but also talk to you about any specific questions you have. So now for the rest of the event is more for everyone like who have joined today to ask any kind of questions to any of us. It's a very good opportunity to ask any questions. There's no stupid questions, of course, so feel free to just shout your question on while muting your mic, or use your chat, whatever you prefer. And yeah, just as everyone has mentioned, they'll all be happy to answer your questions. Maybe I can just start the to keep so it's my question is a very general question, and like whoever is happy to answer is what do you think students should be doing, especially students who are in their universities, to enter the energy industry, basically, like so of course there is a university degree about it, but of course as we know that there not everyone is doing an engineering related, energy related degree, right? So what's your like a general advice for students out there to get into the energy industry? I guess Amanda can start.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe I can start and also do like a brief recap of what we just talked about for the people who joined. So yeah, thank you for joining again. And this is basically an event for us to introduce the global student network that ETM recently created, and also for like the ETM leaders to introduce ourselves and just to show you guys what a diverse community we are and like what kind of opportunities there are for students. Yeah, so, and if you're interested in the student network, you can reach out to Aaron, and he put his LinkedIn in the chat as well. So yeah, how do students get into the energy sector? I would say, honestly, I started with Google, like Google, the kind of stuff I'm interested in. And for example, I was studying, for my PhD, I was studying like digital innovation. So I would just Google a lot about what kind of digital technologies are important for the energy sector. And I was interested in policy, so I just Googled energy policy. And you'd be surprised, I think most things you would Google, there would be some relevant innovation gap in the energy sector that you might be able to like work within. I guess that's step one, and step two is to kind of see what companies or startups or organizations are doing that thing that you're interested in. So then, for example, for me, I'm interested in digital innovation and technology and energy. And I Googled, and then like, for example, my current company, Bloomberg NEF, is doing research in that specific thing. So then reach out to those companies, reach out to people on LinkedIn, come to our networking events so you can get in touch with people and share what you're interested, and to just better understand what's happening in energy, because energy is not just light bulbs, you know, it's not just electricity, there's so many different aspects of it. So I would say that Google and networking. Now on LinkedIn, I guess, because it's hard to meet people in person, but also physical networking after we all get our vaccines.
Yeah, anyone would like to add on that? Any interesting advice anyone has? Maybe.
I really don't want to add anything, but I want to ask Amanda that how much of the theoretical knowledge that you really gathered during your master's degree and PhD degree, is it really helpful in the professional area? Are you really using those theoretical knowledge right now?
In terms of like theoretical models or frameworks, which are very academic, not so much, but I am using a lot of the, like ideas and concepts and like, for example, how technologies can be used in energy. I'm using that right now. And also just problem solving skills and stuff like that as well. But yeah, I think it's really because I think I found a position that is directly related to what I studied. Maybe. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Great. So like any of the attendees, like, do you have like, I'm sure you have some questions. If you feel free to just like ask or put it on the chat.
Sure, yeah, I have some questions.
Please go ahead.
I'm currently in Japan and I'll be here for the summer, and I'm quite new to the energy space, coming in with more of a policy background. And eventually it'd be really cool to work for like a climate energy VC maybe, but initially to maybe work at a startup. I'm interested in the hydrogen and CCUS space, and I'm not sure how exactly to approach projects or startups in the space with my background, especially because I'm not an engineer myself. So it'd be helpful if anyone has any advice on what these startups or projects might be looking for from a non-engineer and how I might be able to approach them.
Yeah, I can answer some of this. I think the first thing to remember with a startup is that they always need people. So although advertisement-wise, often you do see very technical roles posted, if you approach them and say, hey, I would love to work for you and do some work for you, do you have anything? A lot of the time they will. They'll have projects, some innovation work that they have at the side and they just needed some resource for, and maybe they could use you. But I think also I understand that trying to see what's available at a startup is difficult, and that's something that I'm trying to facilitate through Energy Tech Meets. I think it's really nice if you can see specific projects coming up. But in terms of your outreach yourself, events and networking is the easiest way. But feel free to just email them directly. I always stalk a startup, find the CEO on LinkedIn, and then just message him or her. And you'll be amazed. They will reply. They will give you ideas. They might pass you on to somebody else.
Yeah, I second that. I just want to say a quick thing. Like, I also feel like, policy is always a huge issue for startups and in general. Like, it's a huge thing. It's very important, regulation and policy in the energy sector. And you mentioned climate VCs, and there's so much more like investment in climate tech now. So I think you could be really onto something. I just want to second what Victoria said and say, like, yeah, just stalk people on LinkedIn and message them because they do need people as well.
Maybe I elaborate as well. I think it's a very great question, and you do not have to be afraid that policy background is not needed. Energy is still very regulated. It's one of the most important field to have knowledge in, and from the startup side, they struggle to comply with regulation. On the policy side, they struggle to create a framework which is suitable for startups. So that knowledge can be applied also later on if you're working on larger institutes where you're really trying to create such a framework. So I think it's really, really good to have someone who has experience in that area. And regarding making connections, we in our network try to establish collaborations and promote networking. So if there are opportunities in the space, please feel free to reach out to us. My startup is based in Israel, artificial intelligence, but there are others within the network who also have experience with hydrogen and other areas you might be interested in.
Thank you so much. This is super helpful. Thank you.
Great. Maybe our other attendees can like take some time to, I guess, introduce about themselves, like what kind of degrees they are doing, or what kind of roles they are seeking for in the energy industry. If Lucas or I'm sorry if it's the right way to pronounce you, Walp, if you would like to say something.
Yeah, hi, my name is Lucas. I'm based in Vienna. I'm currently not a student, but I'm already working in the energy industry for 10 years. And I'm just here today on talking in advance with Armin to get better knowledge to ETM, so what it's all about, and then to help him working the Austrian sector, let's say.
All right,
Great.
thanks for joining. I hope you got some more insights into ETM, and it's a great opportunity to engage with the global community. So if you have any questions to them, just feel free to. And yeah, thanks for joining. Unfortunately, our news, that we got some member from Brazil. So maybe Josh, you can also make some time to introduce yourself, because that's the newest community which joined ETM. And it's also a very interesting field. It's more into biomass. So there's also a connection into fluids of the future, so alternative as hydrogen. So maybe there are also interesting opportunities in this space. Maybe you can make a brief intro.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Jorge, and I'm the Brazil Student Coordinator for the Global Student Network. I recently graduated in International Relations at UERJ, which is one of the oldest public universities in Brazil. I'm really excited to have you all here and hope you enjoy the event. And I have a question for all of you. I would like to know which new technologies do you think that are emerging right now in the energy sector and that we should know more?
Okay, I'm just gonna take that question first. From my perspective, I feel like we got all the solutions already 10 years ago. We already know what to do. We just have to translate it. What we see today, or what I see a lot, is convergence of different technologies. So combinations and the connection and making them operate better. Of course, we see also when it comes to materials for power plants, we see huge advancements. So it's not only about the energy source itself, but also like the materials we use to establish these power plants. That goes back to alternative fuels as well for powering all of the machines that we need for our energy systems. So it's a huge question. I think I just stop here. Otherwise, I will talk 1 hour. But I think it's about the convergence of different technologies.
Okay, yeah, to add to that, I think slightly different but similar. For me, I agree. A lot of the technology, when you focus in on generation, well, we have it. We just need to scale it up and make it really smart and manage the grids properly. But on the other side of things, there is so much work to be done on other sectors that interact with the energy transition. For example, the maritime sector, we're just so far behind there. There's the huge industrial sectors like steel production. That's where I see a huge amount of innovation is still needed. But in terms of core energy transition itself, it's more about the digital software solutions now that can really make that system smart and flexible. And that this is also where hydrogen comes in, of course. So that's why it's interesting that Emory is particularly looking at that space.
I don't know if Uyanga and Kabir have anything to add.
I was just searching for the news that I read today morning. For me, it's about, honestly, hydrogen fuel cell. And Tokyo recently has introduced ambulance made of fuel cells made by, I think, Toyota. So right now, I think the transportation industry is the major culprit behind pollution and major release of greenhouse gases, because the energy sector is getting way too much focus and there are efforts being done. However, in the transportation sector, still because of the affordability and cheap gasoline prices, they are still not trying to move into electrical vehicles or fuel cell vehicles. So if we can make the breakthrough, for example, Tesla is trying with electric vehicles. If Toyota or other Nissan or other innovative car companies can make the breakthrough with fuel cells, I believe that would be a really exciting technology for the future.
Wait, Kabir, I would like to ask a question to you regarding fuel cells related to hydrogen, or is it separate?
I think sometimes they are used in the same meaning, but like you said, fundamentally they are different. So if I search, then there is a Mirai, Toyota made a Mirai, it's called hydrogen fuel cell, but actually hydrogen cells and fuel cells are separate.
Thanks.
For me,
go ahead.
Okay, I agree with the others, and as a technology-wise, it's already quite developed, and I think like regulation and other like supporting infrastructures, for example, like the infrastructure for EVs and like how to make those technologies like more affordable and make it easier to expand. Like I think that's also very important.
I'm just gonna say I'm like agreeing with everyone right now as well. And just kind of second what Vicky said about like smarter energy systems. Because when more and more renewable energy comes online, that is like smaller scale. And that will be more like closer to the consumer and a lot more spread out and distributed and decentralized. So I think that's really where digital technologies like AI or digital twins or stuff like that will come in, because utilities and grid operators need that. They can't like manage decentralized assets in a super centralized control room like they used to do like a million years ago. But at the same time, like Lianga said, regulation is a huge thing. Like, for example, I think in the US, like most utilities make returns based on how much power lines they build instead of investing in like digital technologies that can make them more efficient. So that is where, like we were talking about policy earlier and management and business, like those like non-engineering skills, I think are really where we need more people, even social science and stuff like that, because like Armin said, we have technologies, we have a lot of stuff, but they just need to scale. They need help regulation wise and business model wise. So that's why I want to just make clear, everyone knows, like we need all different kinds of people, not only engineers, I mean, myself, I'm more like on the management side, to be honest. So I totally get everyone's pain. Like it was hard for me to find a job where I could say exactly what I can do. Like I can code in Java. I can't code in Java. Like often that's how the job description is. But definitely energy needs these management, business, regulation, these kind of other skills as well. Sorry, it's a very long-winded answer, but yeah.
I was curious if Silver, would you like to like say tell us about like yourself, like about I guess give us a small introduction.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm still a student in industrial automation, so I'm not directly connected to the energy sector, but indirectly I am connected. And I think I am more on the side of the energy efficiency of the consumer side, or like the industry side. I think that is more what I'm interested in.
Great. And out actually from any of the attendees, like I'm curious as to like what are you like looking for in terms of so like I'm aware, of course, Emily mentioned about the fact that she's looking for more kind of startup opportunities to kind of work at, but I guess other than work opportunities, like what other things do you think would be beneficial for you to get more insight into energy industry? So like any other things you guys are looking for?
I think this is what I understood from your question, that are you maybe asking that some kind of information, or for example, opportunities for internship or job is one of the things that people are maybe searching. So you are asking if they are looking for other things, for example, information or research opportunities, something like this. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Any of the attendees looking for research opportunities or, for example, solid data from companies about efficiency of grids or so on? Are you guys looking for that kind of data? Probably no.
I'm
definitely. Oh,
go
yeah,
ahead.
go on.
Sorry. No.
I'm definitely interested in it, but at the moment in my studies, I think maybe in my later years, but currently I'm in my second year. So at this exact moment, I don't need it, but I think I will need it in the future. And I'm definitely interested in it.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, like, what are you guys interested in? Because we're kind of formulating what the Global Student Network, how we're gonna help you. So what are your doubts and like, what are your main difficulties in the, like, kind of entering the energy field? That would be really helpful for us to know as well, to see how we can help.
I guess like if I could start actually with it, because actually I haven't properly like said about myself also. I'm actually a student also. I'm a third year economics student. And the reason I'm into energy industry is as an economic student, I see energy industry being like one of the foundation of any of the economies. Without energy infrastructure, we wouldn't have any kind of developments, right? So naturally, as an economic student, I am actually shocked by the amount of insight we get into energy industry in our degrees, because and that also makes me more interested in the fact that there is so much innovations happening, and there's a complete transformation from in especially energy industry to like more renewable and new kind of technologies coming up that is changing the world in a lot of ways. So me as an economic student, I find it incredibly difficult to basically, given that I have no engineering background, I find it incredibly difficult to have any form of opportunities in the energy industry. And that was actually one of my motivation when I for being part of the student network, because I spoke to ETM leaders and they literally agreed on the fact that usually they always tend to interact with a lot of engineers or a lot of specialist technicians around energy industry, but no like economics and business students usually are part of it. And yeah, that's just what I feel is incredibly difficult. Well, any of the similar views, maybe Emery or Silver, you guys think?
Yeah.
Just to chip in. Oh, sorry, you go.
No, go ahead.
It's just a quick point that I think this perception exists, but I studied physics, which, you know, is very technical, and people think, okay, well, that makes sense in terms of energy. But I equally found it very difficult to find opportunities in energy, because what actually practically would I do at a startup? Like analyze some equations? Like not really, that's not going to happen. So it's more about the network and finding opportunities and developing that together. So this kind of idea that a specific subject is related is not the case at all. Everybody comes from everywhere, and you'll be amazed at the backgrounds of people that I meet. There's no like clear trend in subjects. So that's just one thing I wanted to say. It's not a specific problem per subject. I mean, it was a while ago that I studied, but I had the same issue coming from physics.
I'm totally with you on this, Sartek. I don't have any experience in the energy sector, so I was looking for a community or a group of people who could help me with this in Brazil, but I found an institute is the Petroleum and Gas Institute in Brazil, and I found someone on LinkedIn and message her to know if they have a program or a community for new students, for students or someone who wants to insert themselves in the energy sector. And they just had a community for young professionals who are already in the energy sector. They didn't have any opportunity for someone who wants to insert themselves in the sector. So I saw Armin posting about the ATM, and then I think, wow, that's an opportunity for me. It's a global community, and I can have different kinds of perspectives and job opportunities, or maybe startups and etc. So I think that was my experience so far.
All right, thanks for sharing that. And this is exactly what I hope to like not achieve, but to activate. Like really, we need something inclusive. We have to create an open exchange, because what we are facing, everybody is facing that energy transition. And we have to find a more inclusive way to collaboration, and all of these exclusive events you just mentioned, all these networks where it's very difficult to get inside. Either you need experience or you have to know the right people, or I don't know, like sometimes it's really tricky. And this is what I believe we are able and want to tackle. And also another issue, which was just coming from the discussion right now, is it's very difficult to see where can I have the most impact? Where should I go to really push this forward? So this is what I struggled a lot, and this is what I hope we will be able to help you with. So to see where you can make the most impact and what problems there are to solve.
And even just a final point as well, even once you're within the industry, you still want opportunities like this. So the appeal of this is so broad. Like, I worked in the nuclear sector for years, but I wanted to get into renewables, and it was really difficult. And I managed to get in by attending an event in Tokyo. It was an Energy Tech Meetup. That would be a fantastic endorsement, unfortunately, but a similar kind of initiative. And then I got talking to somebody who introduced me to somebody else, and I managed to get some work at a startup in renewables. So.
It's often like that, like you get introduced to someone or introduces you to someone and stuff like that. So I feel like that's what we're really trying to catalyze too, for like formally catalyze this kind of networking, I guess, with the student network. And I guess just one more point about the economics and policy versus engineering and science thing. I mean, I feel like a lot of startups, Vicky, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of startups fail. The ones that fail are the ones that cannot get their business model right, or cannot get regulation, like regulatory feasibility right. Like they usually have really cool tech, but like they can't find a good direction economically or regulatorily. So I feel personally like economics majors or policy majors or business majors have huge opportunities in energy. I think it's just about, like we're saying, kind of reaching out to the right people and stuff like that. Because I know it's hard. Like finding a job is always hard, and finding opportunities. But that's what we're trying to make easier, I guess.
Yeah, definitely true. You often get a very technical team. They don't have any business experience or any broader experience, and yeah, they don't succeed. But I just sent Emery a link to Elemental Accelerator, which is one of the biggest kind of startup programs in America. And they have a number of jobs on there looking for policy people. There's always work. And right now at Set Ventures, I'm doing a load of research into regulations around shared mobility and what's happening in cities. And I need to do a lot of checks there. There's always different types of work. It's just getting that visibility.
Wow, that's so interesting to hear. And it's I guess energy industry is definitely one of the competitive ones. So so I guess like I was gonna like make a point, like even as a student energy network, the initiative that we are taking in ETM, which aims to, of course, facilitate more learning of opportunities towards people, students interested in energy industry. Of course, we are still on our first month of uh, operation, so there is a lot more to go. There's a lot more opportunities hopefully to come, but of course, there's a long way to go for us to reach to a point where we can facilitate uh, hopefully every student interested in energy industry. So yeah, like my point is literally that we are also like trying to create something, hopefully more opportunities. And if at any point any of the students feel like you guys want to like reach out to someone from our community, like any of the leaders who spoke today, but also even coordinators from like Eugene, me, Georgia, for to find out more about what kind of opportunities we are working on, we are happy to like have a discussion. And of course, as a student, if you are very passionate about this kind of vision and you would like to join our volunteering, let me know and we will try to like work together, and it'll be great to have more volunteers on board. Yeah, so I guess we are like nearly at the end of our session, so it'll be great if anyone has like any final questions or any final inputs anyone would like to say, like yeah.
I have a question for all of you. Have you seen any remote job opportunities in the energy sector, like for anyone who wants to open for anyone worldwide?
Yeah, loads. There's a short answer to that one. Yeah, loads of opportunities for remote working, especially since Corona. It's really driven that a lot of companies are decentralized now, and remote working is becoming normalized. So yeah, keep looking. I've seen plenty.
Yeah, I can just agree. And also one trend I would like to highlight is new startups. They embed a decentral governance structure. So from the very beginning, they are looking into these new forms of operating a company. So yes, a lot of opportunities.
I'm assessing a startup now, and the head team is based in New Delhi, Paris, London, and America.
Wow, that's super interesting. Hopefully there are yeah, more and more such opportunities coming up. What about, like, I'm curious regarding any of us who are planning to do any other degree on maybe energy industry. Like I'm just curious if any of us are planning to do another degree on energy industry, because of course we have got Kabir and Yanga who are in PhD and master's program respectively, so they'll be happy to also help you in any questions regarding energy industry degrees. I guess probably no one right for now. So yeah. So yeah, I guess before we end the event, any of you would like to say any final words?
Oh, I would love to ask if anyone has like a favorite newsletters, podcasts, media outlets that they go to get information on just the space in general.
How about Voices of ETM? That is our favorite. That is our favorite news channel to get news on energy.
We also publish a weekly news of the week on our
yes,
channel.
yes.
And on YouTube, ETM Talks.
ETM Talks.
But generally, someone who is also like interested to know more and more news outlet, I've actually lately found this Blue Bloomberg New Energy Finance podcast. I can't remember the name. I don't know if anyone knows that podcast, but it's just really good podcast on it. If I remember, I'll let you know. Yeah, and also like a lot of Bloomberg channels on energy on in the YouTube. They do a lot of documentaries.
Yeah,
I mean,
think
I'm a
if you
nerd.
follow-
Go ahead. I was just gonna say, like, I'm a bit of a power grid nerd, so I follow like art places like Utility Dive and stuff like that, and another one called Smart Energy, but they're very focused on like smart grid and how digital tech is being used in energy. If you're interested in that, I can send the links as well. Sorry, go ahead, Vicky.
Well, I think, yeah, the point of getting the energy tech updates is useful though, because they're reshared from other outlets. So you would then come across lots of other outlets, but I like Delta EE. They do really good stuff. One called Talking New Energy, Clean Tech Group, really interesting. But yeah, there's loads. Maybe we can do a post on it or something.
There are two. I'm gonna share them in the chat as well. One is a podcast. It's called the Energy Transition Show, and the other one is a new newsletter which they just established. It's called Canary Media. Also, they are coming from Green Tech Media. It's also a very good magazine, and yeah, I just shared them, so I can highly recommend those two.
Thank you. This is great. I'll look into all of them. Thank you.
Maybe our leaders would like to give any final words to the attendees today. Yeah, if anyone wants, please go ahead.
Maybe you can pick who talks, Sartak, if we're gonna do like final words.
Sure, Amanda, go ahead.
I thank you. I just want to say thank you for everyone for joining, both like the ETM leaders and the students and all the audience members, because it made me so happy to see like everyone introduce themselves and hear how diverse everyone's backgrounds are, and also like what kind of things they're interested in and how like what inspires everyone. So yeah, I'm happy we're building, like growing the community together, and I'm happy that we can have this as a platform to like clarify misconceptions as well, so that we get the right people to innovate in energy. Thank you.
Maybe anyone else, like Vicky, would you like to add something?
Maybe I add a thank you, Sartek, for organizing everything. It's been a great time, though.
Thank you so much, Armin, and thank you, everyone. And also, I actually like to thank, of course, everyone, also including every ETM leader who have been really. It's great to see how everyone's in ETM now is willing into supporting students, and it's we are hoping it will be great to see more and more opportunities just for students. Yeah.
Yeah, my final words would just be thank you. Great to see everyone. Great to see all the team. Some people first time actually, so that's really nice. I posted my LinkedIn as well, and anybody feel free to add me at any point and message me directly. Happy to help.
Yeah, and also like to the attendees is like feel free to reach out any of us again. I think one thing we should highlight is that a lot of us are on similar path, including me and other student coordinators here, Eugene, Georgie. We are all on like same path. We are all looking to learn more. We are curious, and of course there are other ETM events also. Maybe Amanda could mention like a couple of upcoming ETM events, because they are always super interesting, super insightful, because we partner with energy experts across different fields. So maybe Amanda would like to mention any of the upcoming events.
Sure. So we have one coming up in April. I think it's 20th of April, where we're partnering with INSEAD Alumni Association of Japan, and INSEAD is an MBA school in France. Oh yeah, there you go. So you should be able to find it on our Facebook page or PSX page. And basically, we're going to talk about how the Japanese energy sector can reach net zero. And net zero means like zero emissions zero like carbon emissions coming from the energy system. And Japan recently like pledged to do that by 2050. So it's really interesting because like I feel like Japan is a bit behind. So it's going to be cool to see like how we bridge the innovation gaps to make the system more sustainable. So we're going to be talking about that. So we have one speaker called Romain who is on the policy side. And then we have Elaine, who is in a business called Energy Pool. And we also have the CEO of Air Liquid. And she's going to be talking about like hydrogen actually, and how it might be useful for industry to decarbonize as well. So yeah, I guess I can share the link in the chat as well if you're interested. And I also just want to add, like, we also have fun together, you know, pre-corona times, we used to meet a lot and and have like wine during networking and talk and have dinners and stuff like that. So I just want to emphasize that we have a lot of fun too. We do not like, we don't only discuss serious topics all the time. So I like that part about ETM as well.
Great, thank you so much, and hope to see everyone in our future events. And of course, stay updated with our student network too. I've just shared like a sign up sheet, and also reach out to any of us. So I hope to see you in future events and future opportunities. Yeah, thank you so much for joining today. Bye bye. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.